Southbound Amtrak 572 en route to San Diego.
Hello, wherever you are. And I am the author of Relics, Objects, and Other Reasons to Lament, as well as 100 Ways to Find Your Own Zen, and All God's Children Must Die. Today I'll be reading from Relics, Objects, and Other Reasons to Lament, a collection of aphorisms, adages, maxims, and other things, written between 1997 and 2002. First, I'd like to describe how this collection came to life. I began writing what would later become Relics, Objects, and Other Reasons to Lament back when I was in high school. It was using a notebook that was supposed to be for homework and class notes, so I guess while other students were reading and doing things related to schoolwork, I was busy scribbling down my thoughts and ideas on life. And the collection that follows is a collage of ideas that I had first put together early in my college career. It wasn't till I became an employee of the Oral and History Center at the library of Cal State Fullerton that I was able to do my own editing and production of the notebooks as it started. Later on, I learned how to do bindings and pretty much produced the entire books myself, which is what I've done with all my other writings as well, or at least up to this point. So without further ado, let me begin. I hope you enjoy this collection. Blood in the Rain. I hope when I die, the first thing to fade is my skin. Then the memory of my name will slowly be erased with each ounce of pain. And those who knew me will disappear like 1,000 years of ethnic violence and hatred in the wind. Let me start by saying that most of my troubles begin with bad timing, and escaping memory has become my very own personal quest. A short autobiography from the author. Where to start? Let us begin with the bad. 16 years ago I was born. The rest is a blur. Summer 1997. The only regret I have left in this world is the guilt of being born. Perhaps because it's the only process between my life and death I was unable to take control of. Not that I am happy about it, but I guess there really isn't much reason for me to complain. I try to keep it to a minimum. The only means to an end. 1997. Every audience needs a director. And now, your feature presentation. Nature's Way. As God's great floods erase the stains of our time here on earth, Mother Nature's rain washes away the tears we once wept for the dead, those dying, waiting to be buried. He died in her arms on that cold, bitter, and rainy night. It was just the way he hoped it would be. She has never been the same since. What was it about man's first desire that brought so much beauty and pain into this oftentimes cruel and unbearable world? It's hard to be an individual when all your desires and goals are blocked by a state of oppression that's beyond your control. Sometimes I try to find help, but sometimes I wish others could feel my pain too. Then maybe they begin to realize why I feel so alone. Maybe all I really want is a place to hide my thoughts, one that is neither far or near, a place where my soul can run free. I wish I knew the answer, but I can't help you till you learn to accept the man in the mirror. If we were to ever love each other, then the pain of our sins would surely never be enough to tear us apart, nor could the pleasure of our sensual healing carry us through the flesh into our eventual spiritual afterlife. A crush may last a heartbeat, and a friend may last a lifetime, but true love goes on forever into eternity. That is all I know, because that is all I feel. In life, not all experiences can be linked to the positive charges Maybe that's why I was born with the ability to pretend. As the sun rises, she will also in a single revolution surrender to night. But the pale moon is always there to greet her when the morning comes to light the day. One day I will be stronger than I am today, as memories of the past slowly seem to fade away. Friends are familiar, but the faces always seem to change. I feel my life changing as the people who once walked by my side begin to slowly pass me by. I get the feeling that soon I won't be seeing you again. I can't quite see what is happening, but I can feel you slipping away. You wanted me to burn, so you set my soul on fire. You didn't like the smell of my flesh, so you buried me upside down, 6 feet underground. One of these days you are going to miss my love. One day I will reach down and rise above. Your courage has given me new confidence. Everywhere I look, all I ever see is happiness. I hope the days with you are endless. Your happiness is my biggest turn-on. She asked me for a highway, but settled for a street name. I asked her for an island. She gave me the world. Burning beneath the ashes, a passion so deep. Tonight I met the most beautiful woman that I ever laid my eyes on. Not the kind you fall hopelessly in love with from the first second your eyes meet, but an inspirational kind of woman. You wish you had the chance to get to understand her better. Someone to learn from, whose concepts stretch way beyond the realm of any other passerby. Yet I was struck just as much by the beauty in her flesh as the character in her personality. But she was a woman I simply could not touch. The man who brought us together was a friend of a relative. So I knew not to think twice about her. For I know we may never meet again. But know this, my new strange love. My soul weeps gently for your return. Your memory rests gently in my heart, and there it will remain for an eternity. My ring, your finger, does it matter? It's over. Didn't know you'd send me down the stream so fast. You had my whole life wrapped in a memory. How was I to know what to do? You're so unpredictable. But as long as we're friends, I guess we'll pull through. Just please take your grip from off of my throat. You make it so hard to let go. The uncompromising egomaniac is all that's left now, and soon he'll be gone too. It never made much sense to shoot the dead, but that didn't stop us from speaking our minds or shooting our mouths. The New Colonial Bible, verse 6:14. You have to constantly be envisioning new things and ideas, no matter how silly they seem, because someday one of your ideas just might become your reality. I am one success short of a lifetime of luxury, and you are too. Lost in the reflections of a broken mirror. Once upon a time, when I was a little boy, I met a man who made me an offer that I simply could not refuse. It was the last time the world heard me speak in words, for I had nothing more to say. Ever since that rainy day, I traded my voice for guitar strings. 6 years later, that boy grew into a man and rocked the world with that same set of strings. Now he can't escape the fame, but deep down inside, he's still riddled with pain. A feeling that people like you and me could never truly understand. The mirror's translation from a past generation. In a single breath, she uttered words I'll never forget. I don't want to go, but I really just can't stay here with you. You do understand, don't you? And just like that, for the first time in my life since I was a boy, I was alone again. That white-winged dove had set sail and was gone like a newly freed bird from its cage, out into the wide open world in search of the unknown. She gave it all up, everything she had ever worked for, all in search of a freedom I'll never truly fully understand. Sex, the need to conquer and satisfy one's own appetite for desire, becomes most troubling in a relationship when it's the basis of the romance. Physically, focus shifts from one thing to another. Spiritually, becomes altered and values neglected. As personal interests take over, Shared meaning becomes obsolete, and the final step towards breakup occur when unity gives way to individualistic, selfish human indulgence. Run for cover, run to your lover. She was running from her lover, but she didn't know he had a gun. She kept running for cover, but she didn't know how much he really loved her. He blew it, she knew it. Sometimes I can't stop but wonder about what could have been. If only he tried, but she lied. Now he's dead. Once I remember him telling me I can't go on if this love has no backbone, but now it's too late for me to comprehend. She walks to me gently, hovering at an angel's pace, haunting me. Soft and slow, light-hearted and full of grace. She walks past my eyes for the first time, with beauty that sends my soul into a frenzy. I run to the window for a better look, but it's too late for the final fury. I hope for one last look back, now hurry, but alas, it's too late, she's gone. A natural beauty, yet I never saw the light as it spread across her face. Now there's no room for hesitation, no time for looking back. My dream girl, please come again. I beg for the moment of your eternal return. Just one look into your eyes, Mystery Queen, and I'll never be the same. How quickly my love is lost. Now it's too late. Or is it? The evening has arrived, and so the starlight waves her wand. It's an incredible feeling, this thing they call love. But it doesn't begin until you're gone. I guess that's when I feel it first coming on. The pleasure of love and pain seems to always hit me all at once. Too quick to react, I suppose. Now the moment is gone. But the short memory hangs outside my window screen. Next time, my love, you won't escape me. A divine excrement. You fucking piece of shit. I will not let go until I finish what I've come to do. Your head is a mess, and the boy next to you says she wants to be alone. You're young and restless, and you don't like doing what you're told. You're racing to go nowhere fast. And so the years of your contentment slowly pass. But now you're getting tired, bored, and old. Now it's time you went out on your own. You're still waiting, aren't you, for something good to happen? So why haven't you done a goddamn thing to help yourself? If injustice is a crime, then persecution is a friend of mine. He arrived late in the dimly lit night to an empty house, transfixed in silence, exhausted, shaken, and tired, for he had fought all morning long to cement his place in life, looking for the girl he was hoping one day to call his wife. Maybe he disrobed under the shadow of a small tape lampshade lit above the fireplace. A flash of memory jumped at him, like a cheap bottle of wild turkey. She was his sunrise. When he awoke, he laid in silence, dreaming only to see a vision of her smiling back at him. He rolled over, imagining her warm, soft body next to him, like it was before. And when the moon shined, he smiled ever so brightly, for he knew his visions of her would dance all through the night, and his dreams would last into eternity. Angel of Grace. She walks by me with a silent stare, without a single thought towards his feelings, leaving him crippled with thoughts of his own despair. She's gone now, and all he can do is try to remember the images of her standing once so near. It repeats itself until he beats himself into unconsciousness under the pale moonlit night, trying to forget his thoughts of her. It is so easy to forget the things that are important, but feelings are different. This one he can't forget. A man's desire cannot easily be extinguished. More than a friendship, he does not want to see it end or ruined. So he waits. Everything in between becomes a game. His last thought is the same reminder of his first, both a distraction to his inner peace. The mind exists only to put words into his heart desire. But the heart's biggest drawback is fear. He no longer thinks of her now, yet he has no doubt that she will someday reappear, and he will be ready to celebrate the dreadfully frightful moment of her coming, with flowers and kisses and all his riches, and his words that he hopes will make her love last forever. Today he shudders and trembles with all the anticipation in the world, at the excitement of a dream he hopes one day will be fulfilled. They say a man has but one true love, yet some never find it. We are all searching. Lord knows where mine is. I have found it, lost it, and now I seek again the love of my life. This one is for you, my dear friend. The planned breakup of my biological mother and father had been announced long before the event ever came to pass. It all ended 3 days after my father's 47th birthday on June 1st, 2002. I was somewhere along the eastern seaboard when it all went down. Maybe they, or she to be more precise, felt it would minimize my pain to experience the decomposition of my family while 3,000 miles away from home, visiting a deep-rooted family tree whose soil I had fallen far from during the tender years of my youth and adolescence. Maybe it was just time for the two of them to move on. The particulars of this event seem to have gone untold for the most part, as no one really wishes to speak about the uncompromising details. At 19, if not most young adults are in a state of confusion or in the process of trying to define a place they can call their own in this dying cosmic planetary destination, unplanned futuristic age-defying process that we call life. Whether through collegiate, institutional, marital, or personal congenial commitments, while others may be defined by their sheer self-absorbed laziness, it is somewhere in this greasy mess where I currently find myself. And so it goes. Some begin to set out on their own, as many of our ancestors have done, seeking a life of untold adventure, while some find it better to move away, to roam around the college campus of their choice. Still others struggle to help their families earn money to maintain the slave-like, poverty-stricken lifestyle of 50 or 60-hour work weeks, just so little Johnny can go out and eat McDonald's breakfast on Sunday morning. It is only the smallest fraction of these minorities that will go on to live a life of luxury based on persistence, determination, dedication, or skill, oftentimes overlooked by the people born with connections. This is the state which I aspire to be in. 1:55 a.m. The night before I received the news of the breakup, I had a terrible premonition of the events which undoubtedly would take place across the states the next morning. Strangely, I was in the middle of it all. I remember the dialogue more clearly than any dream I had ever experienced prior to this point in my life. I remember the image of a broken man and a broken heart, and they were soon accompanied by feelings of pure hatred, disgust, guilt, embarrassment, and contempt. 4:30 a.m. I woke in silence, with nowhere to go, no one to talk to, and the sweat began to dry. I felt a cold chill rush across my body. I could feel my heart was the only living part of my body that was producing the warmth of a human pulse. I thought that someone must have heard my screams, but no reply, only silence. I also found it strange how no one heard the plants breaking in the backyard or the car darting out in the middle of the road. The beer I drank earlier that night left an unsettling taste in my stomach. My bones felt cold, hard, and stiff, as if the after effects of rigor mortis had set in. When I turned on the light, the shadows of this all too familiar yet unfamiliar room turned to an evil creature. I felt my brain slipping into the abyss. I was lost, and the crucifix hanging on the wall gave me a sense of the power of death conquering life. 9:25 a.m. Fear will make you do some strange things sometimes. You might recall your jangling nerves and the beads of sweat you felt the first time you had sex, the moment you graduated in the free fall, emotional dropout, your first taste of freedom, your first car wreck, your first breakup, or the first time you stumbled home to the disappointed look on your parents' face, drunk or stoned. But do you recall your response to these situations? There isn't much to do but think when you become involved with such predicaments. Oftentimes thoughts produced lead only to burden as memories and thoughts of past regrets, and what you should have or shouldn't have done wasn't exactly what you did or what you wish you would have. It is at this time, on the bright and sunny morning of June 1st, 2001, when I began to feel my confidence shrinking, as if being squeezed out of my soul from some foreign object which I was powerless against. It seemed such a convenient time that guilt and embarrassment should come by, take its place, coating my soul with the mask of isolation and ignorance, draining me of my emotional dependency. Soon the dream began to reoccur, at least once a night and twice during the day, tearing up my mind and battering my soul. This is where the story of destruction of my father begins to take shape. Today I got hit by a negligent driver, and though you can't see it by the expression on my face, that experience changed my life, made me see things in a new way. If you're looking for a reason to live, ask me about it sometime. I'll give you 1,000,000. This love of mine. The strength of his arms gives me security, and his eyes are filled with love for me. Though he lied and hurt me, I still love him. I begin to forgive his wrongful actions and let him back into my heart. The sound of his voice soothes my emotions, and his tears help me forgive. Slowly we fall back into that warm place people call love and forget all our mistakes. Ammonium nitrate and 2 cotton balls dipped in diesel fuel. Improvisation is the best substitute for lack of knowledge. Knowledge is the key to power. Ignorance is only a weapon to justify one's own negligence and laziness. Strictly political. A message to the men in suits with executive decisions coming from offices high up in the skies. You're not fooling anybody. The roots of rebellion are laying waste to minds under siege, preoccupied with lies. Tribal leaders being fed to the lions by the elephant's headsmen, where civil war erupts behind the scenes. They don't dare challenge the peasants without their precious weapons, because these tiny souls, wrapped and bound for so long, have been waiting a long time just for one last chance to get out of the box you created to put them in. Capitalism forces class distinction. Democracy equals capitalism equals cheap labor. In turn, cheap labor forces cause widespread poverty among the lower classes in developing countries. Tripartism. It is becoming apparent that the youth of this generation is growing ever stronger with the advent of technology and things like the internet and various computer programs, as well as cell phones, etc., which make it easier to replicate destructive behavior than post the result on an international spectrum. No longer are they a shadow of government puppeteers or their parents' desires. Now they are just as wise and corrupt as stereotypical criminal faces you see on the news. They have the ability and intelligence and the numbers to produce a massive social upheaval at any time. Fortunately for the souls who condemn change in an errant society, twisted to fit the mold of the huge money-hungry power lords, which we call politicians, these young pupils do not possess or share a common vision, and in most cases are motivated by a variety of different public and or private interests. However, the possibility is very real. Be careful what you say and watch what you do. In this society, no one is safe. Damage control. Once again, we are all witnesses, at least some of us, to the corporate American politicians and lobbyists are dancing around the law through loopholes designed for and by the upper-class white Americans with help from corrupt minority leaders. They are doing everything they can to undercut the American working class, to pin them down, to staple them to the floorboards of a fledgling economy. This is not only occurring in the capitalistic democratic nation we hold so dear, but is the common ailment in countries abroad as well. We should need no introduction to terms like maquilador or NAFTA, but one should be cautious in understanding the facts concerning intertribunal legislation, extradition, and extraterritoriality. You see, the working class is a staple, much like a staple crop given to any particular region, and they shall never be relieved from the call of duty as long as this democratic capitalistic conglomerate society continues to exist. Oftentimes it is the minorities who suffer the largest percentage of the working class casualties. I cannot stress enough the issue. This trend can only be reversed through active measures taken both by the party involved and any who are willing to take up the cause to rise against. Cleansing the machine. One of the biggest problems in America right now, you can probably say the same for most Western and Euro-American powers who've dominated the globe for over 500 years, is that people don't treat others how they want to be treated. Instead, they repeat actions that have had a negative impact on their own lives, kind of like pay it forward or simple pass it on attitude, which stems from feelings of anger, distrust, and a general lack of respect for other human creatures. Yet the problem could be much worse. In effect, you have the possibility of widespread international race riots. Think about this. What if all the Africans went on a rampage because of the Anglo treatment during the Triangle Trade, which dominated international economy for nearly 300 years between the 17th and 19th centuries, and resulted in enslavement and death of nearly 22 million people? What if all the Indians who spent their casino earnings on cultivating reservations into farmlands were weapons of mass destruction? What if Mexicans rioted in the streets instead of protesting peacefully for immigration rights, which are challenged by white legislation called for in bills like Prop 187? You can choose to learn from the golden rule, or you can draw your own conclusion. One thing that's for sure in a free society, death and killings are a constant way of life. Did you know the government's biggest fear is putting power in the hands of the weak? When I was young, I was taught to obey and not to question or doubt or disagree with what my parents or teachers said. Then one day after being beaten, I fell and bumped my head. I seemed to forget all they ever said. I guess I never learned. I tried to fight, my hands tied, much like a blindfolded prize fighter. I struggled for years just to find my own feet. But what they didn't realize is that you only need one eye to see. What does it matter if the truth is just my opinion anyway? Poverty. The number of lives burdened by want and illness without choice, caught in the struggle to survive or maintain according to societal demands a sustainable lifestyle. My sincerity runs much deeper than my character would ever allow me to show. I'm not afraid of death taking my life away from this world, because I know that if we do things right every day, we will soon find ourselves in a better place. The sands of Musquamaket. The beach sands flooded with towels and brightly colored umbrellas. A line of cars fill the freeway and streets for miles surrounding the deep blue sea. Out in the Atlantic, hands are waving towards the shore and heads bobbing without rhythm. Boats out at sea peer back at the many land creatures, and the sun's infinite rays shine with heat, giving all a feeling of shared wealth, an unabridged freedom shared by many, for today is the day of our land's independence, and terrorism is nowhere in sight. The friendly faces and smiles of all these strangers. It's good to be in America right now. You make a life of impossibility seem so easy, but sometimes the imagination cannot escape the harsh world of reality. Troubles of society, mindless zombies with words unkind. Even good old John Wilson joins the fight against the waiting world of uncertainty. Tired as he might be, the old battle rages on and on. He drops to a knee, dreaming up the end, to a long and infinite sleep. Someday John will have won, and the fighting will end. Then, my dear friend John, we shall stand tall and proud, chanting, "We have overcome." Pride is hard to find when you're in the midst of self-doubt. What's your obsession? Mine is denial. You once gave me balance, but lately it's been tears. My heart has been aching constantly ever since this all started, and I can't help it. My mind is confused, and you aren't helping. I need your love, your heart, your soul. After all, I think I deserve it. I wish you were here by my side when I needed you, but you don't seem to know when that time is. What happened to the beginning of all this, when things were so clear? When I thought I was a part of you, when I knew I was? Whatever happened to your love for me? Is it still there, just hiding on the inside? I want it to be. But the decision is yours. I can't make it. You said I was your strength, so then why aren't you mine? Please make this easy for both of us, because my heart just can't take it anymore. I see myself looking through two windows. One is opportunity, and the other ambiguity. Both lead to the same conclusion, however, they are not part of the same trip. Two windows, two paths, two completely different realms, through which one life must make a decision through which to pass. Both lead to happiness, and both contain sorrow. So then is it possible to cross over from one to the other in such a short lifetime of existence? I am lured by both, but if I hesitate, the game is over. If I push forward, well then, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The unwanted Mr. President. Let no passerby enter your head and cross through your mind as an unwanted stranger, dead to your senses. You try to walk on as if unnoticed, with your shallow eyes pinned to the ground, lost like a set of cards between each shuffle. Let no born-made man, woman, or child slip through the cracks of our lifetime. You just might learn something. Now enter your mind as a stranger like me. Be one as they are, an outsider to your own existence. Give up your personal preferences. Greet the unfamiliar. Reach out with a kiss. Let them know they exist. Because one of these days you might miss your best opportunity when you catch yourself walking with your head down as we slowly cross paths, moving together along the same street. No matter how hard you try, there will always be someone who works harder than you. Innocence is no excuse for ignorance. X marks the scars of self-inflicted gun wounds, damaged skin still screaming. I can't understand why a man would want to leave the world with only a gun in his hand. You live beneath yourself, always trying to please those who dwell beneath you. When will you learn to use your freedom as a weapon? A wise man once told me, son, you gotta learn to speak up and acknowledge your capacity to exert an influence in this world. Obey your instincts. Dear God, what the fuck is going on? Please tell me what the fuck is happening and why there are so many innocent people dying every day. With so many people fighting for peace, it's a wonder I'm not already dead. And one more question I have for you, my dear Lord. What the fuck is up with your son? Is that fool ever coming back to planet Earth? Is he just spooked? Just another Christian myth of another man put to death by your former Christian conquistadors, looking to take the blood of the poor, not to convert, but to destroy another thriving civilization without weapons of violence? Whoever charged the English settlers with acts of human cruelty or weapons of mass destruction, cannons and rifles shining with their bayonets a brighter red from the blood of the crippled, dying, and the dead, when they claim to be doing the will of God and the one and only the merciful under the jurisdiction of your divine right. You've disappointed me, Lord. Now I must take over my world before you let it slip through the cracks or melt down the drain because you were busy building other planets in a faraway galaxy. I will never say another prayer again. Why didn't you just tell us you had had enough and were leaving this world for us to claim? Clinging to life through the constant burden of misunderstanding, as the sun slowly sweeps across all traces of immortality, and the moon picks up her pieces throughout the quietly passing gentle realm of a hollowed place called La Madrugada. Burdened by unwant, passioned by destructive bittersweet taste, he chose to forget about the future, rather abruptly in search of a new kind of sleep. Sometimes we forget the wheels are always spinning. Sometimes all we are left with is despair. Creativity fading, sorry, imagination out of order. Tell me where the weight of the world lies, and I will show you the way to a better life. A friend in mind and a love at heart. Treat me like you need me. What was it she used to say to me? Treat me like you need me, the word she used to say repeatedly, Treat me like you need me. Now she's gone, and I'm beginning to realize. Treat me like you need me. The line starts beating itself into my head. Treat me like you need me. The terror of the words are endless. Lost is the love that you thought you had, but reflecting on past memories doesn't create new opportunities. Recovery stage now in progress. Put your hand over the fire that burns inside my soul. If I could hang on to your sweet memory, I'd drown my tears in your pillow. But now it's me saying the words I hated to hear for so long. Treat me like you need me. A man lunges with an intense motivation to a place that has no existence. Perplexed, his friends cannot comprehend his decisions. Your innocence is treasured. A young girl of not more than 14 searches through her small town for a love that she hopes will last a lifetime. Fooled by her desire and one man's promise, she thought she found everything she had ever wanted. 2 months after losing her virginity, the boy, all of about 20, flees his young mistress, leaving her hopes and dreams lying in the gutter. She will soon find out she's pregnant. Then the man she once loved but learned to hate will be her only desire. But he is nowhere in sight. 1 year later, that man she wants is on the run while she tries to rise to her feet with his baby. If you had everything you ever wanted, then gave it all away, what would you be left with? Down on Harpers Ferry. If I was a slave, I'd beg my master for forgiveness every day of my life and apologize to the Lord